What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Crypt Door Podcast. Today, we got a treat here. We got somebody who's been extremely helpful to my main channel, my Crypt Door Cemetery Exploring channel. We got the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, Tyler Scott. What's up, Tyler?
It's me. What's up, Tony? Thank you for inviting me on, and thank you for just being so kind to me always about being on your channel so much.
Well, I mean,
Thank
like
you.
I said, you're so helpful with submitting videos, and you'll go somewhere on a road trip. On that road trip, you'll be going to cemeteries and doing stuff, and
Right.
I really appreciate the help you give me. Definitely.
You're very welcome.
I wish we
I
could get
really
more.
appreciate you even giving me the opportunity to host it.
Yeah, I wish we could get more people to do that kind of thing, but I get it.
I hope so myself. I'd love to see some people from other states because I'm in Southern California, so it's at least a little different than Bay Area, but still it's California.
Yeah.
And as you probably know, I lived in the Bay Area for 16 years. I'm up there a lot anyways too. So
Yeah.
but yeah, that'd be wonderful if more people sent some stuff in from anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll ask you some questions, get to know you a little bit, talk, nothing too weird, nothing too invasive or anything like that, but we'll talk about where we share a love for cemeteries and for the history and all that. So let's start off with what first drew you into cemeteries as a passion or a hobby or whatever.
There's like two different answers to that question. I guess I'll start with the first one. It was when I was a teenager. I still am. I don't want to say I'm still not. I was just into kind of some dark, macabre interests when I was a teenager. Never really outgrew that. It just became more of a mature version of it. And I also just loved history in general. And so it was kind of both of those interests I had that as a teenager drew me to old cemeteries and just cemeteries in general.
Yeah.
Almost any kind of cemetery is almost a monument to history itself. And it was fascinating to me.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah, when I was like 16, 17.
Yeah, it's always interesting to learn about people, like just about people who are maybe known in the community or known in the world, and you may just come across
Right.
somebody with some big elaborate grave and go, they must have been somebody, So you search them and you learn a little bit about them, and I just love that aspect of it. Oh, this guy made millions doing this, or during the gold rush, or this or that or the other. It's like so awesome,
Right.
So it's like a learning
And a lot
experience.
of that stuff is so connected.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. There's like this weird little delay. I'm sorry about that, Tony.
No, I get it. It's a little bit of a learning curve. I totally get it. But yeah, it's just like a cool thing. It's you learn. It's a little bit of history you're learning about people, how they live their lives, by their monuments, how they wanted to be remembered, that kind of stuff. I love that stuff.
Yeah, ditto here. And especially when it's connected, especially out here in California. And when I say history, I don't mean human history. Humans have lived here for thousands and thousands of years, and they mastered it, and they were great.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about the modern American history. All of our cemeteries in here, are pretty new as compared to the rest of the country and the rest of the world. Only I'd say 98% of all the cemeteries here and people buried here were buried after the 1850s. Very few before that.
Yeah.
So, and it's all very connected to California history too, the pioneer history.
Yeah, definitely. So, do you remember the first cemetery that made you think like, like, wow, this is different, or I like this, or?
Actually, yes, and that's why I'm so happy you asked this, because what I happen to have right here, when I was 16 in the little town that I grew up, a little place called Tehachapi, California, in the southern Sierra Nevada mountains, a place that was very connected to Old West history. It's the famous pass through the southern part of the Sierras that the railroad was built in like the 1870s, and is still the big freeway pass underneath Donner Pass, the only freeway pass south of Donner Pass.
Yeah.
And a very historic little place. And there's a pioneer cemetery there that I, to this day, and I did that live video with you there. I'm going to do a proper video. And I remember going in there when I was a teenager, and that was the one that was really interesting to me.
Yeah.
And blew my mind.
what started for me was my little family cemetery in Hayward over here, the Catholic cemetery. You know, when I was young, I'd go visit family members and stuff, and I just started to be interested, like in the monuments, maybe what people have inscribed on their stones, and then later on, a few years back, I just started getting into more of like who they were, what they did, you know, what they contributed to
Right.
the society or whatever. But that's where it started for me as well, you know.
How old do you think you were first time you went in one?
Maybe 18 or 19.
Yeah, about the
Roughly.
same as me. I was like 16, 17.
Yeah,
So I didn't mean
back
to be distracted when you were talking. I was
no.
finding something. Go ahead. Go ahead, my friend.
But back then when I was younger, I really didn't appreciate like the history that could be, you know, laid to rest there. It was more or less kind of like maybe I was a little bit of a horror
Right.
movie fan, so it was more of the creepy aspect I like to go in there. But then later on in life, you start, you know, changing your views on stuff, you know.
Exactly. When I was younger, I was into it more for the macabre aspect of it. Now it's just more the history and
Yeah.
other aspects of it. So
Yeah.
just recently, because I think you, as you know, and a lot of people probably know, I'm trying to move and sell my house, and I've been going through a lot of stuff and getting rid of things.
Uh-huh.
Just a few weeks ago, guess what I found? I found these pictures of the Tehachapi Cemetery that I took when I was like 17.
Oh wow.
And these are now about 25 years old. This would have been like 2000. And I found this picture of a
Wow.
young 17-year-old. I know it's so blurry, standing in front of the old Tehachapi Cemetery gate. And that would have been about 2000 right there,
Yeah,
26 years ago.
that video that you did from there, I used that. It was I guess it was a picture you sent of it or something, but I used that for the thumbnail, that the archway. I think I did on that one video.
That arch right there, yeah.
Yeah, I think
And even since these pictures have been taken, go ahead.
I superimposed you on there, I think too.
Yeah, I think I remember that. And you know what? I do intend on going back there before I move out. I'm going to be moving probably the next 4 or 5 months and doing a proper video on that place for the channel for Crypt Door.
Oh, nice.
That's going to be upcoming. Yes, I
Very
promise.
nice.
So even since these pictures have been taken, they added a whole information board and cleaned it up and added a better fence.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, like here's some of the other pictures I took. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take these pictures with me when I do that video for the channel, and we'll see how the place has changed over some time.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because, and like here's two actual stone ones. Unfortunately, and I need to research this a little bit more. About 15 years ago, somebody went through there and stole about 10 historic monuments, and they're gone.
Oh, that's horrible.
And they've never been, they've never been found to this day. Nobody has any idea who they are or where they went. And when I say 10 monuments, there's only like 30 or 40 graves in there. So this was, it was pretty devastating to the loss of that. It was pretty bad.
You saying
Pretty
that
low, if you ask me.
Yeah, you saying that reminds me of I think it's Rose Hill Cemetery in Antioch. It's out there. It's a regional park now where there's walking trails and stuff. But there's the old mining. There's mines there where they mined coal, and I think like some kind of stone they use, like sandstone, or they use like glass. There's a couple different mines that they are there, and there's a cemetery at the top of the hill, and it's all the old miners and stuff from back in the 1800s. And it reminds me, you said that about the stones being stolen, because a lot of the stones there, like in the 70s, were vandalized. And then when the regional park system took it over, they started to go in there and fix stuff. But you'll come across stones that are like, you could tell were just kind of cemented back together because they were broken in half or whatever. So that when you said that kind of reminded me of that one,
Yeah, and unfortunately, probably people have stolen a lot of those, over the years.
Yeah.
I've heard of what's bad is what we just talked about isn't even close to the worst vandalism I've heard of grave sites and mausoleums. I've heard of ghoulish, nasty things. So at least there's that, Go ahead, my friend. I'm sorry about this delay. I'm still learning with it.
Yeah, you were talking about ghoulish things. Yeah, like that one in Oakland, that one family vault they got busted into, that they stole some skulls and stuff back in the 80s. That was horrible.
Right.
That was
And
ghoulish. And
it was something like that I was thinking of. I can think of a few different ones I've heard of. There was this little boy, and I can't remember his name. I think some other channels might have done videos about it. Kind of a more, I don't want to say famous, but a unique grave in the United States history was that little boy in Vermont. I think it was the late 1800s who died of a fever, and he was afraid of the dark. And so his dad, grief stricken and mourning, built the grave with like a glass window in it so that light will always get into where the boy's grave was.
yeah.
And I guess this was built, and then sometime, and it got vandalized a few times. And then I think it was like in the 70s, somebody broke the glass, was actually able to access the crypt, and took some of the bones out and scattered them around the cemetery. And the skull was missing.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. So shockingly, and now they never ever said exactly the details of this. Somehow they actually found out who did this. And they went to their house and they found the skull in the house. And apparently, I think this was like teenagers because they didn't release the names.
Yeah.
So they put all the bones back in and then plugged it up with concrete.
Wow.
But things like that. Yeah. But yeah.
That's some bad vibes, man, for that person.
Very bad vibes. The only kind of skulls you should ever keep around your house are the plastic kind. What do you think? See,
that's awesome.
That's what you.
I've
had this guy since high school.
There's no robbery.
No grave robbery involved.
So going back to the questions here, let's get on focus here now.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. We're just BSing. It's good. What is your favorite cemetery that you've ever visited, and like what about it made it like special?
I'd have to really think about that actually, because what's funny is the second part of what you asked the first question.
Yeah.
I hate to say I'm not trying to be at length. I know it's like 12 minutes in. I get to the second part of the first question. As my love for indoor mausoleums only started about 4 or 5 years ago. I discovered those completely separate.
Yeah.
And those are really what I'm passionate about. I love cemeteries and all that too, but I love the indoor mausoleums. I had just, for some reason in my life, never been inside one or seen one. And I just went in on accident kind of in 2021. That's a different story for a different time, I guess. And fell in love instantly. So probably, if I would really have to nail it down, Tony, it'd be the first indoor mausoleum I went to, because I'll never forget just how much it blew my mind.
Yeah.
And it's one that you've done. It's the Catholic one in Colma with Abigail Folger in it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Holy Cross, right? Yeah.
Holy Cross,
definitely.
Right.
Definitely.
So
it's always interesting to see like how they're built and how they're set up, and I always love that stuff.
Very unique, very interesting buildings. They're, like I said in one of your videos, the thing that that really kind of interested me about it is that they're almost like walking into a period of time. Nothing really changes in those places, and they're not supposed to change.
Yeah, we spoke.
So that's why there's very few human structures like that.
Yeah, we spoke about that video we just did. I released the other day of us. Remember, we were speaking about that during that video.
Right.
What did it
Very
for
true,
me was, I've only, before I started my channel, I'd only been at cemeteries around here or in my family cemetery that, in Hayward. It's nice, but it's nothing too crazy as far as monuments and things that are built out there. What blew my mind is when I started my channel and I started to venture out to like Colma and stuff. It was just like Cypress Lawn. Some of those mausoleums and monuments were like among at the time were the biggest I'd ever seen. That one mausoleum, family mausoleum, that has like 15 steps going up to the top, and the damn thing is huge. Before that, I'd never seen anything that large before in a cemetery. So that's what that's what made that place special for me, because I had never really seen anything like it other than on TV, maybe on TV in other states or whatever.
Right. But you're right, and it's not just that; it's something about Colma itself. There's almost no other place in the world quite like it that I've seen, where you have such a collection of those things in
No.
one area. It just blew my mind.
Well,
I guess
yeah.
this is part. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
The first time, it was funny. I lived in the Bay Area 16 years, but then the first
Yeah.
time I went to that mausoleum, I was just up on a trip. I had already moved down to SoCal, and I went only expecting to go check out Abigail Folger's grave and then call it and then leave. And I never
Yeah.
forget the whole feeling when I walked into that building of just like, what the hell? What is this place, man? Wow. What is this? So I didn't have very much time. I only had like an hour, and then I had to go because I had to go to IKEA and do this appointment in Emeryville. I had to go. I had to drive literally back to Southern California that day. And it blew my mind so much. And I looked at Colma and I researched a little bit. I always heard of Colma. I came back up 3 weeks later for 3 days and did nothing but stay in hotels right there in South San Francisco and just do indoor mausoleums all day long for 3 days and saw the whole place.
Yeah.
And it's been just ever since I've been hooked.
Yeah. Like I said, a lot of times I haven't been there in a while, but today's video, that's a video I recorded a few weeks back. But before that, I hadn't been there in a while. And it's like, I sometimes get flack for going there, but it's like, 1,600 living in the city, and the dead outnumber those at 1,000 to 1. So that's a shit ton of graves,
Yeah, it's incredible. It's the biggest necropolis in North America.
Yeah.
Called a necropolis. Not in the world. There's other bigger ones, but in North America, that's the biggest one.
Yeah. So that city and those cemeteries were my first love when I started this channel, because there's just so much. There's that Italian cemetery.
Right.
When I drove into that place, I was freaking out. I was like, I've never seen anything like this before. The way that like some of the ground burials are above, the monuments are up above. So it's like deep, and it's all stone, but it goes underground, and there's it's just a cover over it. Those things just blew my mind.
Right.
Like I
only recently learned that about those graves. Yeah.
Yeah, and I always before that I always do stuff like that in other countries. Now here it is, I'm discovering cemeteries. So that's why I love Colma so much and some of those cemeteries, because there's just so much visual there and history and and all that.
It is. And it's so near to where you're at too. I mean, it's the largest necropolis in America, and it's right there. It's like, how long from a drive from where you're at? Half an hour?
Yeah, maybe not even that. Maybe 20 something minutes. So that's why when I'm in a
right across the bridge, right?
Yeah, when I'm in a pinch and I want to film some videos, but I can't go too far from home, that place comes in handy. But I know you travel.
When I come up to film a video with you, no, I'm sorry. When I come up to do something I'll mention later, when I come up to do another video with you in the Bay Area, I was going to suggest us do that mausoleum in Colma, the Catholic one, my first one. I'd love to do that with you, because that was how I discovered your channel, was that day, because I looked how to find Abigail Folger's grave. So I just put my phone, all right, Abigail Folger's grave, YouTube searched it. For whatever reason, your channel came up. I watched it, and okay, that's how you go. And then later on, I watched your channel, and here we are.
Well, I don't know why my channel came up, because I wasn't then a huge channel, and I'm not now. I'm still not considered a huge channel. Maybe it was because a whole lot of people weren't maybe covering that at the time, so maybe that's why it came up.
Maybe that would have been like early 2022.
Yeah. I started mine. Basically this channel was born during COVID, because there was nothing else to do, and I love doing YouTube, but I couldn't do my other channel because everything was closed. So that's where this channel came from. And I always had
we all remember that.
I always had the interest in cemeteries, and that was basically only things that were open. So I started my channel. I thought, if I'm going to go to these places, I might as well document them and share them.
Well, I appreciate you doing it, man.
Oh yeah, I love doing it. So you do travel at times. You'll take a road trip places. Is there a cemetery that is still on your cemetery travel bucket list that you haven't hit yet?
Well, what's fun? Yeah, about 50 of them. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Yeah, a lot, actually.
Too
that
many to
I've
mention.
been even doing some research recently. Yeah, just way too many to mention, especially the large indoor mausoleums. I I have something quite big planned for next year, and I'm really hoping to see a quite big or a different selection of them all over the country. I'm really excited about it.
Oh yeah, good. I'd say for me,
Um,
my ultimate. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was about to ask you that. Yeah, sorry. No, I was about to ask you. What about yours? I have, and actually, something else came to mind. But let's hear yours.
Um, I'd say mine is probably Highgate in the UK.
Oh,
Highgate
right. I
Cemetery.
think I've seen. What's I'm drawing a blank. Dead Good Walks do a video there, right?
Yeah, yeah, he lives right over there. Or any of those those Italy cemeteries he's been going to too. That's nuts. Those talk about getting grimy in some of those cemeteries, man. Those things
Uh-huh.
are falling apart, and it's crazy.
Ancient.
Ancient.
I've heard some cemeteries in Spain are very much like the ones in Italy as well.
Yeah, yeah. So those some of the, like maybe Italy and then Spain and then in the UK would be like any of those are probably like all my bucket list. But right now, I
Right.
would love to go. I would love to see Highgate and take the catacomb tour they have.
That
The
would be
catacomb,
very cool.
you know, that would be
That'd be
actually
very
awesome.
cool.
So,
Something that came to mind here in America, though, real quick,
uh,
before I forget. And the reason I say this is because it's unknown if me or you or anybody else will ever get to see it. And me and you have even sort of talked about this before. Is the Wilhelm Mausoleum in Portland, the one that is
yes,
not really open to the public all that often, and is the largest mausoleum on the West Coast. I'd really love to see that one. I don't know. We're gonna have to see how life goes and it goes, and we'll hopefully yes, but I don't know.
yeah, that was we were supposed to do that with this year, and then it didn't happen. Um,
Yeah, and then
unfortunately,
we put it off to this year. I don't really think it's going to happen next year either, unfortunately, either. So I don't know.
it's always going to be there, definitely.
One day,
So,
okay. So for what people are probably wondering, real quick before I forget, the reason I say it might not open is because for a long time, for many years, it was only open to the public 3 days a week, Memorial Day weekend in late
mhm,
May.
yeah,
But recently, the last 2, 3, 4 years, they haven't even been doing that. And they're not really 100% sure or positive if they're ever even going to do that again.
that's
So I
unfortunate.
don't know.
I would love to
Very.
see that too. So, for somebody starting out in this world, I guess, which cemeteries would you say are a must see for someone starting out? Like, what would you suggest to somebody that said, "Hey, I, I'm interested in this and I want to start walking these places"? What would you suggest?
Well, it depends on where they're at geographically.
Yeah,
Or are you saying like general? You know what I mean? Like if they're in a certain spot
or
or just in general.
in general. We throw out there in general.
I would say the first thing I would say is look at your most local cemetery to where you actually live. And that's the thing about cemeteries. They have them everywhere on the planet, pretty much every human culture across all religions, cultures, and times. And they're pretty ubiquitous because, well, every human being is going to need the spot one day. And that's where I would start the small local ones for sure.
Yeah, yeah, I would say so too. Go. When I
Yeah,
started out, I would Google cemeteries. What does this place have? What do they look like? And if
right.
it had a bunch of interesting, cool monuments, I'd pick that cemetery. And I still kind of do that to this day. If it's a cemetery I'm not familiar with, I'll Google it, look at pictures, and see what's going on.
Yeah, it's an easy way. Technology is great for that nowadays.
Yeah. I might know the answer to this one, and if you don't want to talk about it, I get it. But we've talked about it before. Have you ever come across a grave with an unusual backstory? Now, what we have talked about in the past, but we've kind of gotten some heat over that. So I don't know if that's the one, but
Yeah, yeah, and it took me a second to realize which one you're talking about. I think we could talk about it without putting it out there because Yeah, a little bit of behind the scenes drama happened, but nothing too serious. It was the murder. It was a grave of a murder victim of a case from the 90s that has kind of become. I'm a true crime enthusiast too. And this particular case has kind of been my life's work of true crime research. And it's my favorite case. We don't have to mention the name of anything because I just don't even really want. Yeah, but definitely that one. I go to that one about once a year. I put flowers on her grave for her birthday. I've gone and cleaned it up. And the anniversary of the crime is going to be literally in like 6 weeks. And I'm planning on going there and seeing her grave. But yeah, definitely that one, as
Yeah.
far as backstories go, the one that I've had the most connection to. And then, yeah, so that one for sure. It's in LA, it's in the Los Angeles area. True aficionados of the channel will probably remember exactly what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to mention it here.
There was a little bit of, in that one video, there's been a backlash in our comments from people we think were connected to the people, but we weren't positive, or maybe
Yeah.
maybe not. But yeah, that was probably that was what I thought would be for you. That one right there, definitely.
Yep, for sure.
Now, as far as I go, I've nothing really unusual. It's just, but maybe unusual ways they've done, not unusual, but maybe like I've had a couple where there was a mother and a son that were murdered by the father, stuff like
Yeah.
that. Or unusual. I've come across people who've drowned in unusual ways, but nothing major like that. Like that's pretty hardcore. That what you've come across,
Right. It's the things I get involved in, Tony. Yeah. Just what can I say?
Yeah. So, in the area you live, or maybe somewhere close to you, are there any local legends that are connected to burial sites near you? Like local urban legends, or
None that I'm aware of here in this little town, which loves that kind of stuff. There might be, but
all right. Quick break, and we're back with Tyler Scott here. I had a question before you had to go, but then we came back. Do you have a rule or personal code you follow when exploring? Like,
yeah, absolutely, I do. Absolutely, I do. I've always, especially in the mausoleums and cemeteries, I'm always respectful. I would never do anything around anyone's final resting spot that I wouldn't want people to do around my loved ones' resting spots.
yeah,
This has nothing to do with supernatural or paranormal beliefs, just human dignity. Always kind of just keep, I don't know, just maintain a dignity about yourself at those places. Be low key, quiet, as quiet as you can, respectful to everybody. That's the way to go. That's because it's not just my personal feeling about respecting love people's final resting places. It's about giving a good example of. I'm not even going to say the word for cemetery and mausoleum lovers. For people who are into just going, as a hobby, we need to have a good representation,
yeah,
and I try to
definitely.
be that.
I agree with you 100% all those points you made, but because I'm filming a lot of stuff, my number one thing is if I see a grieving family or a family just visiting, I steer away. That's also like my number one. I don't, I stay away from families,
Right.
But I agree with you on your other points too. That I feel that way as well. But my number one for as far as filming goes is you see somebody visiting a grave, steer away from them. You see a service, steer away from it. And that's
Correct. I 100% agree with that. And actually, that's exactly what I do when I'm there. Because even though I'm not filming, I'm taking pictures. I'm just being a tourist. And if I see a service or somebody who's grieving or mourning, nope, I give them plenty of space, all the space in the world.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
that's why I like you and your channel too, because we all follow that.
Yeah. Another question: have you personally ever seen behavior that crosses the line in cemetery tourism?
Me personally, no. I have heard of it. I've never personally seen anything with my own two eyes at a cemetery that crosses the line. Trust me, I've been in other public places where people were acting crazy that crossed the line that I did say something, but that's another channel story.
Yeah.
But at a cemetery, No, I'm sure it happens, but I personally haven't seen anything that was crazy.
I'm like
I was
same as
asked to
you.
do something online that I thought was crazy. I didn't do it one time, but other than that, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I'm with you on that. Nothing I've seen personally, because I'm in a cemetery filming. I'm usually the only one there filming. I'm the only YouTuber there usually.
Right, I get that.
But there was a point when I was doing TikTok really heavily that there was a creator out there that had put stickers on headstones. It was something going on about that, and I and they had their own stickers, and that's kind of like when I started doing the sticker thing. I was like, I hope nobody does that with my stickers, But I don't think any of my followers would. But I think it came about that the creator themselves did this themselves or something like that. It was kind of
Yeah,
whack. Yeah.
that's kind of sketchy. I mean, and I don't think anybody of your followers would do that on a
No.
grave or a spot, but
No.
for a creator to do that, dude, no, that's not really.
Yeah.
That's really kind of cool. That's right over the line of. I mean, I'm sure there's worse things you could be doing, but that ain't
Yeah.
cool either, dude. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. This was like 3 or 4 years ago. I don't remember all the specifics, but I think it turned out it was the creator sticking the stickers or something. It was something crazy, and I was just like, wow. And I'm not, I don't
yeah,
remember the
that's
name of the
crazy.
person, and even if I did remember him, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't say who they were.
Right.
But it was that was like something that I think crossed the line, a little bit.
Yep. I would agree. That's crazy.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence, but you don't believe anything paranormal, or you never experienced anything weird like that, or
Nope.
no.
I'm not a believer in that stuff, and I've never experienced anything in my life or there that would ever make me question anything to that sort. I personally just don't. Everyone's entitled to their own beliefs, but no, I never
Yeah.
have.
Me, I'm more of the belief that you do something bad, like we talked about, bad juju, bad energy. You know what I mean? I'm more of the
Right.
belief of that. If you do something wrong there, then you never know. Something might bad luck or something might come
No,
across.
I agree with that too, because as older I've gotten, I've found out that karma, which I think what you're referencing exactly what you're getting at, is not an abstract spiritualized thing. It's a real world thing that you will get what you receive you will receive what you put out in the world.
Yep.
And it's not, you know what I mean by that? I could go on and on with examples, but it's not good. Yeah, that's bad. I would never. Yeah,
Yeah. And it's always like
I
karma,
agree.
like that. Treat people how you want to be treated. That kind of stuff.
Right.
For sure.
Right.
So what do if you have an answer for this, cool. If not, cool. What's the one like funeral burial practice from history you wish we still did today?
I'm not trying to smile at burial practices.
Or funeral practice, during a funeral, or
Funeral practice. Well, I would, of course, the go-to answer is the Viking funeral with the boat and then shooting the arrows out. But leave it to me to ruin things. That's actually a myth, and they never did that.
Oh yeah.
That never happened. That's just something that's been made up in the modern day as a Viking thing. Because if you think about it for 10 seconds, you realize, wait a second, that boat and that kind of fire would never even be close to hot enough to be able to cremate a human body, even close.
Yeah.
It would, you know what I mean? Like it wouldn't even come close. So they didn't do that. That's
Yeah.
an interesting question that I don't really know. The first thing that really comes to mind, and there's already a big shift in the funeral industry and human society, is probably just the way humans buried humans for hundreds of thousands of years. Was we died, and then they dug a hole and they put us in that ground, and then they put dirt over us, and we went back to the planet.
Yeah.
It's only been the last, really 100 years that we've kind of come up with all these other ways. And
Yeah.
now that natural stuff's coming back. So I don't know.
The one thing I had seen like old vintage pictures of before, and I'm sure you've probably seen them too, is back in the 1800s or early 90s, there were if it was a husband and wife that died, they were put in a casket big enough for both of them. You ever see those pictures? Those old
Right.
vintage. That would be something cool that I would be open for them to still do today.
right? Victorian death photography. It was
Yeah.
very fashionable to take that portrait after death.
Yeah.
I wish I had it. I found it. I have an entire book all about that with all
Uh-huh.
these hundreds of examples. Really cool book. And I think that aspect of it has fallen out of favor. But I do know that even today, if you have the money and all that kind of stuff, they do make caskets big enough for two people. And I have heard of that happening in the modern day.
You know,
It's rarer.
I've actually not have heard of that, so that's very interesting. That
Really?
I didn't
Yeah,
know that was
I
going
can't
on.
remember their names, but I saw on one of my Facebook enthusiast cemetery groups, and then I looked it up on Google it. Somewhere here in America, it was so tragic. It was these two 16-year-old girls who were best friends since they were like 3 years old. And they both tragically died at the exact same moment in the same car accident. And I
Wow.
guess their parents, all four of their parents, even in their grief, which was probably beyond anything we even know, they actually decided to bury the two girls together in the same casket, like arm in arm, and they share the same big stone. And they weren't related, but they were best friends.
Uh-huh.
And their family decided to do that. And I remember seeing reading about it, and they put them in one big casket, one for two people.
Wow.
So,
I guess
and that was pretty
money
recent,
money does talk, I guess. If you got it, do it, you know. They'll
right?
do it, you know.
Or that lady who was buried with her entire car. Remember, I think in like Ohio. Do you know that story?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, they can still
That
do elaborate stuff. Yeah.
I think when they did that, if I remember right, the husband had to buy 16 burial plots to fit that whole thing.
Oh yeah, that cost an arm and a leg, you know that did. I mean, that's real estate you're buying now, you know, that's
Right.
how they look
It
at it.
is. Well, actually, it is technically legally when you buy a grave or even a niche or anything like that, it is technically a real estate transaction.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They and you're able to sell if you haven't used it. I guess you're able to sell it if you want to.
Right.
I heard there was people at
Yep.
Forest Lawn Hollywood Hills. I think somebody had bought something and sold it. I heard a while back a plot.
I've heard of that happening at the San Francisco Columbarium and at the Pierce Brothers in LA, of
Yeah.
people who are now technically the legal holders of these family members in the past who were buried in these spots that now have realized, oh, wait, that spot is worth a bunch more money than it was. And
Yeah.
they've had their family removed, put other places, and sold it for cash. I
Yeah.
have
Well,
heard of that.
speaking of Pierce Brothers, what I had read was, I guess, the crypt above Marilyn, or the one that one guy was buried in above her. I think that was supposedly Joe DiMaggio's, and he sold it to that guy, was what I heard.
I think you're right, or something like that. Whoever owned the one above her sold it. I think it was Joe DiMaggio.
Yeah,
I
because he
have
was
to look
married
it
to
up
her.
again. I know you're right.
He was married to her one time. I think they had those like one of, you know, he was above or she was below, but they were up and down. And I think he sold it to that Richard Poncher guy, the guy that they supposedly buried face down above Maryland.
Yeah, face down.
And
You know, I remember.
I've seen videos confirming that, people who worked at Pierce Brothers during that time of that
Really?
guy's funeral, and they said when the family left, yes, they did rotate him. So
Wow.
yeah,
Well, that was his wish. Hey, they carried it out, I guess.
yeah,
Um, I remember when we went to the San Francisco Columbarium, there was a spot right in the center rotunda that was open. And I remember them saying it's like the first opening in that room in like 50 years. And so I'm assuming for whatever reason, somebody was in there and got taken out and sold, maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was some family going, hey, that spot that great grandpa Joe or whatever put his urn in 1942 is now worth $68,000 or something. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
I'm not saying it's moral or ethical, but it ain't illegal.
yeah.
So people
I
don't
guess
do
it's
it.
used. I guess even if it's used, you still can. I guess, you know.
Right.
Um,
So that'll make
I've
money.
I've heard of that. I've heard of there is in Mountain View Cemetery in Oakland. I did a video on this a long time ago. There was it was a up in the Millionaires Row area. There was a family mausoleum. I think the guy was a doctor, and it was like the great grandson or the grandson or great grandson something was trying to move them out so he could sell it to somebody else, and I guess they put the kibosh on that. I guess the cemetery or the city or whatever. But I was just like, damn,
Right.
And I think
That is pretty cold.
he had said something about helping the living or something like that. Because I guess he needed the money for something or something. It's just like something ridiculous.
That's pretty out there, but I can see people doing it. People do everything for the almighty dollar. So
yeah, definitely. And when you take your photos or whatever, you share them normally, or you kind of keep them to yourself, or
other than the videos I take for you and your channel and some of the pictures I've shared with you to use for your channel, as of right now, they're just for me. I'm planning on printing out a lot of them and doing some photo albums, and along with some of the information I've gotten at these places, just kind of documenting my travels. But as of right now, it's just for me. That might change, especially on that big trip I'm talking about doing. I don't know, but right now, pretty private. Yeah.
All right on. So you're maybe possibly planning a book or something, or maybe
just some photo, not an actual book, but just like photo albums for me. I've already looked at some like cool looking, dark goth looking, like black photo album books, and then just organize them all the pictures of all the mausoleums I've seen, like a scrapbook style, and along with some of the information and the maps I've gotten from the offices from these places, just for me.
Well, that's cool. Right on.
Yeah, and I'll probably share it with the channel and you guys when I make them.
Oh, very, very good. If you could design your own tombstone, or maybe a niche plate if you could be cremated or whatever, what would you want it to say? Or have you even thought about that yet?
Yeah, that's a really heavy question. I don't really know. I'd have to really think about that. Knowing me, definitely something smart at. Actually, you know what? Oh my God. Dude, I have the perfect answer for this. I can't believe I didn't just come up with this. I think I've shared this with you. And I'm going to share this with all the viewers, and I want to hear everyone's opinion about this. Here we go. Are you ready?
Yeah.
The glass niches are my favorite to see in all the mausoleums, the columbariums. Those are by far my favorite. So if I ever end up in one of those, if this is something I decide, I'd love to get one that's right about eye level. And I know that's expensive, but this is what I want. And inside, along with my urn and maybe a few other little things, I want a laser engraved on metal picture. Those will last for thousands of years. A picture of me standing in the spot right in front of that glass niche with it behind me. And I'm going to be holding a sign in my hands like this that says, "You are standing right here," with an arrow. And I'm going to be like, like that.
Hell yeah.
And that's what I want up. So that for no matter how long the building stands, for all of eternity, hopefully, when anybody ever looks at that, they're going to go like, what the, whoa, and laugh. That's the goal.
Right on, man. I think I would just be a smart ass. I'd say vlog me or some bullshit, something, something stupid. Dude, like that.
No, yours should have the little QR code for your channel. It'll be like, keep the channel alive. Keep Crypt Door.
Yeah, keep it coming in for my wife. For my kids.
Yes. If we got to make a promise, dude, if you ever pass away before me, I'll do the next Crypt Door video of your spot, and vice versa. If you outlive me, you need to do the next Crypt Door video at my spot. That would be the best memorial, dude. I would love that.
That would be awesome. Tyler Scott, he was a weirdo, but
but a lovable weirdo. Everybody loved him.
Definitely. You know what? I give you flack, but you're not a weirdo. You're a good dude, man. You're.
Thank you, Tony. You're a good dude too.
If I didn't like you, I wouldn't give you flack.
Well, right, of course. Dude, you're talking to an ex-soldier. I totally understand that mindset.
Yeah. Ball busting. Mm-hmm. But like I said, you have in the past, you've greatly helped the channel. With content, and
Well, thank you, Tony.
I thank you for that. You are retired military, right? Or would it be considered retired, or?
Not really. I'm 100% disabled veteran. I was in the Army when I was a
Yeah.
kid, but then my career for 17 years is I was a swimming pool serviceman, which is a fancy word for I was a pool cleaner. I was a pool boy. And I
Yeah.
did that for many years until a couple of years ago. And now I have my disabled status, which allows me to not have to work anymore.
Yeah.
But trust me, I wish I could trade it all in for what happened. That's another story. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Definitely. Oh, right on. What was I going to say here? I'm getting old and I forget things.
Well, there's one more thing before I forget. I think just a little explanation for everybody, and I'd love to just get this out there for everybody listening that listens to his channel and the Crypt Door channel. So hopefully next year, late spring next summer, I'm going on a big road trip. And when I say a big road trip, I'm talking. I'm going to live in my minivan. I'm selling my house, and I'm going to be traveling across the United States 3-6 months, maybe more. And I have plans on seeing a lot of places, a lot of cemeteries, a lot of mausoleums. I'm definitely going to keep you guys updated live, hopefully on the channel. I'm going to be doing videos. And if anybody listening that likes me watches the channel, if you're around these spots where I'm going to be going, let me know and hit me up, and maybe we can meet.
Oh yeah, definitely. You
Oh,
could be
yeah. That's a good thought.
the guy in the field,
Sorry.
Tyler. Huh? Tyler Scott, the guy
Oh,
in
I
the
got a
field.
notification. Yeah, I would like that, Tony. I'll totally do that. So that's what I mean by this big trip. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, right on, right on. Cool. Well, I am gonna let you go, my friend. We've been on for a little bit, and
Yeah, sorry, I went it's been so long.
no, it's fine. It's great. I have no problem with how long we've been on, but I do have to go, and I'm sure you got stuff to do too. So I'm gonna roll out of
Right.
here. Like I said, thank you
Thanks for
for
having
coming
me.
on. Thanks for coming on and sharing your insight on different things and answering questions and all that. I hope I didn't ask anything that was too weird or too uncomfortable, but
Nothing. Never. Always good. Thanks for having me on.
all right, buddy. I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you for being on, and I'll be talking to you soon.
All right, you too, dude.
All
Later,
right,
everyone.
later. And have a great day, guys, and I'll talk to you soon.